The Strange Case of Fred Huss. On February the 22nd, 1924, Fred Huss, alias Joe Fry, was hanged at the Regina Gaol for the June 27th, 1923 shooting death of Gil Hollenbeck at his pool hall at Dollard, Saskatchewan, in the southwest corner of the province. That was the end of the story. But here is its beginning. In the early 1920s, gangs led by Smiling Johnny Reid and Arthur Davis robbed dozens of small-town banks in Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, North Dakota, Montana, even British Columbia. The gang would arrive late in the evening at some one-horse town, usually one without police, cut the telephone and telegraph lines, then break into the bank building, capturing anyone living on the premises, as some bank employees did back in the 1920s. One or two armed guards would patrol in front of the bank to discourage the curious, and after blowing the safe, the gang would depart with their loot in a high-powered car, heading for the nearest border. It was believed the gang employed local people as spies. On May the 9th, 1923, the Reid gang robbed the Banque de Hochelaga in Dollard of $6,800 in cash, $122,000 in today's money, plus $100,000 in securities. But here is where things begin to get strange. Gil Hollenbeck, who ran the local pool hall, was rumored to have told police that two local boys, John and Emile Marquette, aged 15 and 14 respectively, had known or recognized one of the bank robbers. But on June 9th, both boys were found dead at a local swimming hole, the apparent victims of drowning. Drowning in a swimming hole with a maximum depth of 4 feet. Both boys had bruises on their faces. At the inquest, Coroner G.H. Lee questioned Hollenbeck as to his story about the boys knowing one of the bandits, only to have him deny it. Concerned, the coroner turned the case over to the RCMP's female pathologist, Dr. Frances McGill, who, on June 18th, concluded there was no foul play. Here's a quote from the primary source for today's video: "The Border Bank Bandits" by Frank W. Anderson, himself a former condemned man whose case has been covered on this channel. Quote, Dr. McGill suspected that one of the boys had gotten into trouble while swimming, and that his brother had tried to save him, resulting in both of their deaths. A rescue attempt that ended in a panic struggle could account for the bruises. In any event, in her opinion, none of the bruises had been caused by a blow sufficiently powerful to render either lad unconscious. End of quote. But if things weren't strange enough, they were about to get even stranger. On June 27th, Hollenbeck was talking with a man named Leonard Stauven when, at closing time, a masked rifleman entered the pool hall and fired 4 shots, one of which hit Hollenbeck in the head, killing him, the masked man then going through his pockets. But, in yet another twist, Stauven was arrested when police were dissatisfied with some of his answers to their questions. He then made a partial confession in which he claimed he and another man had planned to rob, not kill, the pool hall manager, a claim which led to the arrest of Fred Huss, alias Joe Fry. At 6:25 a.m. on the morning of Friday, February the 22nd, 1924, 35-year-old Fred Huss, alias Joe Fry, was hanged at the Regina Gaol for the June 27th, 1923 shooting death of Gil Hollenbeck at his pool hall at Dollard, Saskatchewan, in the southwest corner of the province. His last plea/request was for rum. Huss and a man named Leonard Staven, alias Stephen, had been arrested for Hollenbeck's murder, but due to concerns as to Stephen's sanity, it was decided to try the men separately, and Stephen was later acquitted. At Huss's trial at Shaunavon, the jury took only 5 minutes to find him guilty. There was no recommendation of mercy. Huss awaited his end with indifference, but according to Frank W. Anderson, whose book, The Border Bank Bandits, is the primary source of this video, quote, before he was hanged, he told his jailers the macabre story that while in prison in British Columbia, he had helped build a scaffold for hangman Arthur Ellis. He hoped Ellis would remember him when the time came. He seemed disappointed that when Ellis came to his cell, the executioner did not recognize him or recall the incident. End of quote. According to the account of Huss's execution, published in the Regina Morning Leader for February the 23rd, 1924, the condemned man refused the last rites of the church, commenting to a jailer, quote, if there is a hell, I can go there without any prayers. Perhaps the priest should have brought along some rum. Both Anderson and author Edward Butts say that Huss admitted assisting, as a local spy, the Smiling Johnny Reid gang in their robbery of the Banque de Hochelaga on May the 9th, 1923. But any connection between the bank job and Huss's murder of Gil Hollenbeck, as well as the mysterious drownings of John and Emile Marquette, who may have known or recognized one of the bank robbers, will remain forever shrouded in mystery. The footage you have been watching shows me standing in front of the shrubbery on the east side of the Potter's Field in the Old Regina Cemetery. Directly in front of my feet, Fred Huss lies buried in an unmarked grave. I hope you will consider subscribing to The Gallows, where we explore Canadian murder cases that ended on the scaffold. Please like, share, and comment. And remember, if you're born to hang, you'll never be shot.